What's this? Rich Roots Dialogue. Amina Cheryl Shaw. Okay, interesting. But what is it that you actually do though?
Good question. Well, most people might start listing their qualifications, certifications, and their years of experience in different roles. But I'm just going to say this. I'm a Muslima trying in the dunya to do her best and managing her worst. And I'm a mother raising 3 black children in London. And I'm a black woman who uses my lived experience to help other black women to empower themselves, because who knows it feels it. And as much as I'm still on my own journey, I've realized that the journey doesn't have a destination and we just keep on. So whatever I've learned that works, I want to share that so that others can benefit, because when I'm cooking, I like to clean as I go. You get it? That being said, I do have almost 25 years experience in the industry as a professional stylist. I went from being self-taught to being professional when I passed my NVQ level 2 back in 2002, and I've been elevating and upgrading my skills ever since. I also studied cosmetology in 2018 so that I could properly understand the science behind the hair care products that I have been formulating since 2011. And right now I'm studying trichology so that I can really understand the science behind the hair and scalp issues that I've been seeing throughout my career. But what I feel is even more important than all that stuff is that I've been on my own healing journey for a little while now. And it took me to go on that journey with myself to really get to understand how I can be of service to others. What you know about me is that I'm a mother of 3. I run my own business, making my own natural hair care products, and that I was a hairdresser for almost 25 years. You may even already know that I've been a TV presenter. I've been a podcast host. I've had amazing opportunities like delivering a TEDx talk last year and other talks. So you might assume that I have always naturally had a high level of confidence. But what you don't know about me is I suffered with being a perfectionist, seeking validation and being a rescuer for the longest time, because I used to dislike so many things about myself. I thought I was boring. I thought I had no personality because I didn't always get the joke. I thought I was not as intelligent as other people because I couldn't always answer quick enough. I thought I was ugly. My nose was too big. My eyes were too small. My forehead was too wide. My middle fingers bent too much. My toes were too long. My feet were too big. My skin was too dark. And I thought my hair was horrible and not attractive because my curls were too tight and my hair was too short. And only recently have I really begun to accept my hair texture and love it, as well as all those other parts of myself. Growing up in the 80s, there was never enough representation of black women with afro hair on the TV or in magazines, or even in real life, to be honest, because the women in my family, from my mum to my aunties and all of her friends, had relaxed hair or curly permed hair. And I went to school in an area where there was predominantly white people with predominantly white children, and everyone's hair was straight and all the features were white skin and blue eyes. So I became accustomed to believing that that was beautiful. That was what beauty was. Especially since all the girls who the boys labelled as the prettiest in the school were always the white girls with straight hair, blue eyes and straight features. It was never me or any of the other girls that looked like me. In those early years of primary school, I spent many playtimes wandering through the playground alone, wishing that someone would play with me. And as much as I would try to join in with the other children and play things like it or sing the nursery rhymes, they wouldn't let me. I remember in the spring times when all the buttercups and the daisies grew, all the girls in my class would go onto the field and they'd be sitting and making daisy chains, and they'd put them in and weave them through their plaits, their French plaits and their ponytails. And I would go to join in and I would end up feeling left out because they would make comments about my hair being different, not like theirs, because it was in cane rows. And they would get up and run off and go and play somewhere else. And I came to believe that the only explanation for that was that my skin wasn't white and my eyes weren't blue and my hair wasn't straight. I recognized my differences and I believed that my differences made me ugly in comparison to them. If you resonate with what I'm saying right now, then it's probably because, sis, you have not yet tapped into the essential part of your healing. The problems you have with your hair externally continue to be a symptom of the internal struggle that you're having in the garden of your mind. As small as it may seem, a feeling becomes a thought, and that thought, repeated over time, becomes a belief. Allah says in the Quran, "Verily, we will not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves." But the question is, are you ready for change? If you're still with me and you're enjoying this video, then I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my channel, because I want to be able to continue to provide insightful, engaging videos for you guys about hair care and self-care. And by subscribing to my channel, you're helping me to be able to do that. So it was 2011 and I was at home and I was thinking about my hair because it was an absolute mess. I didn't want to relax my hair anymore because each time I did, my scalp would just end up blistered and sore and tender for like 2 weeks. And I was having an internal struggle. I was still circumventing those old stories inside my head, and I was still living a life trying to survive the pain whilst holding on to the memory of the pain out of survival and protection. The story of me as a 25-year-old young mother being cheated on by her partner continuously and feeling like it was because I wasn't pretty enough or worthy of love. The story of me as a 15-year-old teenager who met my biological father for the first time on the way to the shop one Sunday afternoon. The memory of that 15-year-old me who felt anger that I'd been abandoned by him for all of my childhood, and at the same time felt like something must be wrong with me because I wasn't good enough to be part of his family. And the story of me as a 7-year-old child who wandered through the playground and watched the other children laughing and playing, feeling isolated, disconnected, and unworthy because of the colour of my skin, my facial features, and the texture of my hair. These are just a few of the stories that were attached to the fears that I had. These are the stories that kept me believing that I wasn't enough. At that moment in 2011, as a 31-year-old staring at myself in the mirror, battling with the idea of relaxing my hair again, I heard the lyrics of TLC coming from the radio.
You can buy your hair, it won't grow. You can fix your nose if you say so. You can buy...
I realised that I wanted to be free from the idea that my natural hair wasn't enough. It wasn't long enough. It wasn't pretty enough. And so my journey began. But I didn't even realise just how far or how deep I had to go. Then in 2020, during the pandemic, Allah put me through a test which brought me to my knees mentally and emotionally. I went through a divorce which was both unwanted and unexpected. I was at the lowest that I'd been for a long time. I was completely broken. But it was this test that made me realise that something inside me needed my undivided attention. Over the next few years, I started to really do some deep internal exploration and healing. And throughout this journey, this process that Allah showed me that I needed to go on, I realised that I didn't see myself. I didn't see the woman who I was hiding away inside of me. I was afraid to even look at her. I was afraid to set her free out of protection and survival. Then one day, after listening to a talk by Brené Brown called The Power of Vulnerability, it was like this light bulb came on in my head, and I realized that my lack of self-worth and my lack of self-love and my level of self-acceptance was the issue. My self-awareness was growing. As a child, that feeling of being othered, feeling not good enough, is the loneliest feeling you can ever imagine. And the pain and shame that comes with that becomes part of the story you tell yourself. The story that later on in your life is one you'd rather avoid and forget. So you suppress it. You push it to the back of your mind, but it's still there. And as an adult, so many other stories from your life just contribute to those feelings of pain and shame again and again and again. And they just keep on reinforcing the beliefs that you've had about yourself since childhood, that you are not good enough. Your status in society is not good enough. Your clothes are not good enough. Your looks are not good enough. And so because of that, you fear abandonment. You fear not being accepted. You fear not being needed. You fear disapproval of others. You fear disconnection. You fear exclusion. You fear judgment. You fear not fitting in. You fear failure. You seek protection. You seek validation. You rescue everyone but yourself. These are things that I discovered about myself. This is work I had to do on myself. And all of these new discoveries made me realize, wait, hold on a minute. I'm not the only one though. So with that thought, I began to pivot the direction of my work and what I needed to do next. And that honestly made me feel excitement. It gave me drive and passion because I wanted to use all of my years of experience as a hairdresser and take that and combine it with what I was learning about my own struggles with my self-belief and my overall self-worth. And I wanted to help empower women like myself, women who look like me, to not only understand their hair and love it, but to also develop the level of self-awareness that leads to self-acceptance. I was a perfectionist seeking validation and rescuing others because I lacked self-awareness. I was subconsciously believing my negative thoughts because I lacked self-worth. I was unable to truly implement the many actions of self-love because I lacked self-acceptance. There's one more thing that I want to address before I leave you. I just want to quickly go back to earlier when I mentioned the fears. There was one other fear that I didn't mention. That's the fear of success. Some of you may be thinking to yourself, fear of success, is that even a thing? And the answer is yes, very much so. And no, I'm not going to spend another 20 minutes talking about the fear of success. Don't worry, you can Google it. I've given you enough to think about. But I do want to leave you with this quote, which was a fundamental part which aided me to really understand what the fear of success is. This quote always touches me whenever I hear it, and it reminds me to be who Allah is guiding me to be and to use all of my talents and my skills that Allah's gifted me with. Alhamdulillah. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a servant of God, and your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure about you. We are meant to shine. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. That's what I do. I'm on a mission to help women who look like me to empower themselves, to not only understand their hair and love it, but also to develop a level of self-awareness and how they truly feel about their hair and everything else that defines us as being black in this world, to lead them towards establishing a sense of self-acceptance. I believe that the problems many of us as black women have with our hair externally continue to be just a symptom of the internal struggle that we've had going on in our minds for years. I mentioned earlier in this video that, as small as it may seem, one feeling becomes a thought, and that thought repeated over time becomes a belief. But again, I want to say, the question is, are you ready to change it? If you feel like watching more of my videos and you want to binge a little bit, then I recommend you watch this one here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.